Hello, welcome to another GK Beginning Band video. We're going to be working this week on this week's assignment, which is page 7, numbers 8 through 11. We just finished page 4. Page 6 is very similar to the exercises on page 4, so we're going to skip those and the concepts we learned last week, and we're going to learn about the half note, the half rest, and the breath mark. Have your student look up, and up at the top of the page there'll be some definitions of the half note, half rest, and breath mark. In number 8, a breath of fresh air, we employ the breath mark. It looks like a little apostrophe above the first measure. We'll play an E, we'll breathe, and then immediately play another E. So we'll have a whole note, and then a whole rest. We'll go through this pattern all the way through on the E, the D, and the C. Number 8, a breath of fresh air. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. One, two, three. Notice that there's no rest in the last measure. We're playing a whole note in the last measure right before the double bar, which signifies the end of the piece of music. When you breathe, breathe through the side of the mouth, not through the clarinet and not through the nose, and get a nice full breath of air. We're going to play number 9 side by side. Rhythmically, it's very similar to number 8 with the breath marks, only now we're going to go from the E to the D, and the D to the C, and the D to the E. We're going to switch notes in consecutive measures. Make sure your fingers are poised close to the keys and the holes so that you can get your fingers right on there and just dropping them down instead of tucking them back around and having to move them constantly. Number 9. 1, 2, ready. One, two, three. One, two, three. Again, the last measure is a whole note. In number 10, 2 by 2, we'll continue this practice of switching back and forth, only if you'll notice in the last 2 measures of number 10, we're not going to go from one note down a step to the next note. We're going to skip down from E to C. So they'll have to move the second and third fingers on the left hand at the same time to execute. So those 2 fingers will have to move together. It might take a little bit of practice, but they have to move together and cover the holes at the same time. Number 10, 2 by 2, we're starting on a D in this song. 1, 2, ready. One, two, three. One, two, three. That's number 10, 2 by 2. The last one I'm going to work on this session is number 11, half the price. We'll talk a little bit about half notes. Each half note will give 2 counts of 4/4. That means if we're in 4/4 time, they get 2 counts each. So half notes would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I played 2 half notes in 1 4/4 measure. When I play the half notes together, I'm going to play on 1 column of air, which means I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to blow through all 3 of the half notes that I have in that phrase. You have a half note on count 1, count 3, and count 1 of the second measure, and a half rest, which is worth 2 counts at the end of that. So in those 2 measures, I'll take 1 breath and play all the way through like this. I'll use the tongue to interrupt the sound, but I won't stop breathing out. If I stop my breathing and stop my air, it'll sound like this. And I want it to sound connected like this. Notice that I did use my tongue to interrupt the sound. You're just going to kind of tap the tongue up there as if you're spitting some seeds out. Sometimes I have the students say something like "do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do," and just to practice keeping the air going, "do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do," while using the tip of the tongue to articulate the note. We're going to play number 11. Notice that in the first 6 measures, the pattern is very similar from 2 measures to 2 measures. Half note, half note, half note, half rest. In the last 2 measures, we have a half note on the D, followed by a half rest, and a whole note on the C. Make sure your student gets that when they're going through. Number 11, half the price. 1, 2, ready. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. That's page 7, numbers 8 through 11. Please practice each one at least 3 times a day. Try to get at least 5, possibly 6 days of practice in. 20 minutes is a good amount of time that can be scheduled in with your regular homework. Have fun practicing, and we'll see you next week.